And I think that's how we often are as Christians. We just want to go through the steps, but we're not actually going through the process of purification. And that's what engaging with your cross does. It helps us to go through that actual process.
Now, purification is an interesting term, and there's a distinction made between active and passive purification. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. And I think that is an important distinction because it helps you. I think that you need to respond to both of those pretty much in the same way in order to go through purification, but it helps you to understand a little bit more of why that's happening. So active purification is a situation that you have chosen. So you may not have intentionally chosen what's happening in that situation, but you chose the situation. So for example, if you marry somebody, you promise in sickness and health and so on and so forth. Okay, so you didn't choose, like Bill, my late husband, his previous wife had breast cancer. Okay, he didn't choose going through that with her, but because he had chosen marrying her, he chose to go with her through that breast cancer, which was, an awful situation too. And so he engaged that cross. But he could have just been in denial, or he could have, there are occasionally people who leave their spouse when they get sick. And so that would be not engaging that cross. So that's active purification. Passive purification doesn't mean that you are passive, but you were passive in that choice. You didn't make the choice. I didn't make the choice for Bill to die. I didn't choose to get Lyme disease. You didn't choose out there. You didn't choose, whatever is going on in your life that is making those crosses. And so that's passive purification. But don't be mistaken in thinking that the purification process is passive. It's just that choice was passive. You still have to be active, and you have to actively engage in that process.
Right.
Does that help?
And that, in a nutshell, could be summarized by talking about our trials as crosses. We have to go through the cross, not around it, but through it.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean that you just fatalistically say, oh, I'm sick, so I shouldn't do anything about it. Going through the cross is just staying sick. That's not the case at all. We should still, like I have to continue to find ways to relieve my physical pain. I rather than saying, oh, well, I'm in pain. That's just what God wants. That's fatalism. Anyway, it's not good. So it's not that you want to be masochistic or anything like that, but it's engaging that. And sometimes engaging something means that you are fighting it. You're not fighting the cross, but fighting whatever this is. Maybe you're asking, like St. Paul, when he had the thorn in the flesh, he asked God 3 times to remove it from him. And God said, no, my grace is sufficient for you. Jesus asked to have the cup removed from him. And, God said, no, you need to go through this. And so Jesus said, not my will, but yours. And that is what's engaging in it is, maybe you ask for God to remove it. And maybe he does. And maybe that was how you engaged in it. But oftentimes we have to do some suffering before we get that answer. And sometimes that yes answer never comes. It's a no answer. And, so engaging with that and doing it. And so for me, I had to engage with life. I had to say every day, several times a day, yes, I will live. I'm saying yes to life.
And in doing that, in picking up your cross and engaging with it and carrying it, that's part of the purification process. And another way of putting that is we're becoming more like Christ.
Yeah.
And then to bear our cross for Christ's sake, or on account of Jesus.
Right. Yeah.